had the unfortunate and most unfortunate experience of using my personal bank account to do business shopping during Christmas time and had somebody wipe out my account,
Wow.
right? Wipe out my account. Now, this is all my cash for my business. Yes, it's a personal business account, which is why I took the decision to open a business account. It's a personal account that I'm using, and I was wiped out clean. I cried. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. I just finished making things, making orders that I had, and 2 o'clock in the morning when I'm supposed to be going to my bed to get up to go to the work.
So, welcome to another episode of Conversations with Sharika. My name is Sharika Swaby. I am a certified life coach, mentor, author, public speaker, and of course, the host of this show, among some other things that I do, right? So, my guest today is Sashana Riley. Now, she is someone that I've known for about 9 years because our kids went to school, to the same primary school together. So we've been coming from a good distance, and she has managed to use her hands to create some really beautiful decor, right? So Miss Riley is a finance major, and she works in the public sector here in Jamaica. She's married with 2 kids, but we are here to talk about what she does with her hands. So before we dive into that, she's going to tell us a little bit about herself. The floor is yours, Sashana.
All right, thanks so much, Erika. Happy to be here today. So
We're
I
happy to have
have
you.
I have been creative since high school. I have dabbled in various things. This is not my first rodeo. So balloons, it's the weirdest thing because I don't like balloons. But then I figured it out. It's not that I don't like balloons. Maybe the ones I was exposed to younger were just cheap.
Mm-hmm.
So hence I didn't like
Okay.
them. So I guess if you get exposed to the better quality, then you are perfectly fine. But this is not my first time or my first era of being creative. So in the past, I've been planning weddings since I'm 19.
Wow.
Yes. My first wedding, my mother's coworker came to me and said, I wanted to plan my wedding and I wanted to decorate just like that. And she says, I'll buy you everything you need and you just have to do it. I said, that doesn't
Okay.
sound like I have much of a choice. She said, you don't, you're gonna do it. So I said, all
Oh my
right.
goodness.
So that was where I got started. I started doing weddings here and there. It was mostly by referrals or family friends that I would have done their weddings for.
Mm-hmm.
And from that, I started a business called S&W Exotic Fruits. At the time, it wasn't very popular. We did similar to edible arrangements. We made fruit arrangements here. So this
Okay.
would be the first time a lot of you would even know that I would have done something like that. But that's where I started as well. So I've been creative and it's just a natural thing for me. At least for me. I don't know about anybody else. For me, it's just a natural thing where I see something and I just decide, hey, I'm gonna make it. And watch a couple videos, think about it long and hard, and just decide, okay, get all my material and just start making stuff.
Oh,
So
that's amazing.
yeah, so we did that for quite a while. As I said back then, there were a few of us. There's probably one major person that still remains in the market from that time. And I'm really proud of where she has grown and how she has expanded her business. But for me, I wanted a business that was non perishable because I felt as though while you're making profit from that business, I watched and I would have saved items to make fruit juices on a Sunday. I watched a lot of the profit go to waste. So I
Mm.
decided I needed to come up with another option. I wanted to do something more. And I kept looking at the market and I kept trying to think of what's next. What's going to be the next
Mm.
best thing? And
Right.
I saw party planning as short term, easier to do in terms of the planning for it. I guess
Right.
because I probably am a natural planner, so it just comes easy to me. I
Yeah.
started building my suppliers list because that was one of the most critical things for me. If you don't know where to get items, then you're stuck. And
Mm.
if you don't have a warehouse to store to make things, then you're stuck. You're limited in what you're able to do.
Right.
So I decided that I was gonna start small. I
Mm-hmm.
I started finding my suppliers, had to do a lot of research in terms of balloons, quality, brand. That's when I found out there were so many brands of balloons, and
Okay.
it was quite an experience. I At first I didn't register the business because I wanted to see what I was made of and what the business was could potentially do. So I started out experimenting, and I have a wonderful mentor that has facilitated me coming on her jobs and making balloon garlands for her. And for that, I'm eternally grateful. I'm eternally grateful to all my angels that are out there just praying for me and helping me along the way. So started out doing that small, and I kept watching YouTube videos. And you know, they always said YouTube is not university, but it does teach you a lot of things, right?
Yes.
And that's where I just started learning things, techniques. I kept watching people. I kept exploring, experimenting, and it didn't come without its failures. So my biggest, well, my biggest one today that I can remember that was a pivotal point in my journey. I ended up with three jobs, and two of the jobs was outside. And at the time, I was purchasing balloons locally because
Mm-hmm.
you don't know when you're gonna get an order. You can't buy in bulk because you're probably gonna get stuck with them. So I used to buy locally, and I did the first garland. I did the first balloon arch, and they started popping. And it was like the worst moment of my life because
Can
no
imagine.
planner, no decorator, no creative person wanted to know that you sit and plan something and you sit and
Mm-hmm.
strategize as much as you can, and then it doesn't go according to your plan. You can have
Right.
all the backup plans in the world, but when your balloons start popping, and then when you go and get backup balloons and balloons start popping, then you know you're in for a real bad time now. So I was
Yeah.
frustrated, and I ended up being late for the third job because remember I have three jobs this day. I ended up being late for the third job because the second one when I got there, so I made up my garland, I made up my arches, I made them in clusters, small clusters, packed my car and went. And I opened my trunk, and a breeze just came and took all the balloons away. Now,
Oh my
now
goodness.
the breeze just came and took all the balloons away, and you should see myself, one of my really good friends at the time, well, still is, all right, my ride and die. So me, my husband are in the parking lot of the
Running up
supermarket,
and down.
of a popular supermarket in Portmore, running up and down trying to catch balloons.
Oh my
Right?
goodness.
Needless to say that that arch did not go up. I
Oh
ended up
dear.
having to give them two columns on either side. By this,
Mm,
I'm extremely late for the third job.
mm.
And
Wow.
I got to the third job very nervous because you know what just happened to me, and I'm there
Mm-hmm.
thinking, oh my God, like, how is this gonna work now? And I have to apologize to the client and everything. So in the middle of doing the third job, the light goes away. The Yeah, so in the middle of doing the third job, the light goes away. And I don't blow balloons by mouth, right? It's an electric balloon pump. And even if you have a hand pump, it can only do so much and no more because
Yeah,
your hands are
yeah.
gonna get tired, right? Your hands are gonna get tired. So the light went, and I'm there flustered trying to figure out how I'm gonna get this done. I eventually was able to put things together and got it done for the client. Um, when I left, I decided that that was it. Never buying balloons locally because I couldn't take that risk. I wanted to grow, and in order to grow, I had to make certain choices.
Yeah,
So I
absolutely.
did my research and I started buying little by little and getting my stuff together and
Mm-hmm.
kept building, kept experimenting, kept growing. And I'm still not where I want to be, but I
You're getting there.
continue to improve and just get there. I'll get there.
I love it. I love it. I love it. So let's backtrack a little bit, right? You said that some your was it your mom's friend, correct?
Mm-hmm.
She came to you and said, "You are going to do my wedding." How did she know that this was something that you could do?
Well, so they would have seen me grow up, clearly. And
Mm-hmm.
in high school, I did home management.
Okay.
Had a wonderful teacher. She recently passed, Miss Gaskin, at Wilmer's High
Mm-hmm.
School for Girls. She was my home management teacher, and I really loved that
Right.
subject. I would get excited to do the practicals, and
Right.
they would have seen me do those things. I remember one particular practical. We were supposed to bake and decorate a cake.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when it was a group activity, we had to bake and decorate the cake. And when the cake came out of the oven and we were taking the cake out the tin, the cake broke in pieces, not just in halves,
Wow.
not in quarters,
But
pieces.
in pieces.
And there was
Oh my
cake left
goodness.
in the tin, and we had to figure this out because we had to get our grades. I said, all right,
Mm-hmm.
no worries. I watched my grandma, I've watched my mother do this years. I can do this. And I was, I didn't even realize at the time, but I was at front of the class in front of the teacher with the broken cake. And apparently she sat and watched me push pieces of cake together and made a cake and decorated the cake.
Oh my goodness.
When we were finished and she came around to grade and she got to me, she laughed because she saw what it looked like before. And you couldn't tell
Mm-hmm.
that that was what you were
A
seeing,
broken cake. Yeah.
right? And so I from there she kept encouraging me. She told me to enter JCBC with cake baking, I made a
Okay.
bowl and stuff, and got a little certificate of participation, because yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you're still growing, right? But I've always been, my family is very creative. They've baked cakes. They have, they've baked so many cakes in my life that I don't know why I still eat cake. And I think there is why I even went into the whole creative side because
Right.
almost every wedding cake we did had a story. When it wasn't rain falling, when it wasn't rain falling, when it wasn't putting out a cake and the client calls back to say the cake full of ants because the place that they had their wedding had an ants problem when it wasn't getting to a location, only to put up a cake, a wedding cake, and you had to help out to decorate somebody's wedding that you don't know. And I think it just everything worked together. Everything was just
Yeah.
falling into place and making my journey incredible.
Amazing,
So,
amazing. I can tell from the smile on your face that you enjoy what you do, and despite the challenges, you've enjoyed your journey so far. Am I correct?
yes, I definitely have. It hasn't been without its shares of disappointments, and
Mm-hmm.
you would want to see yourself going in a different direction. But even with that, it is still my joy. It is still my baby, my passion to be
Mm-hmm.
creative and to just create something that persons are going to be impressed with.
Right, right, right. And I'm sure when you deliver on to your clients, that brings additional joy because you see how happy it makes them. I've seen your work and I love it absolutely, which is why
Thank
you're
you.
here because
Thank
I love
you.
to
Thank
see it.
you.
Just the pictures that you share on your profile sometimes, just the pictures alone brings me joy, and it's not for me. So I can imagine how your clients must feel. It doesn't take
Definitely.
much to bring me joy. So, but your work is really, really, really good. What at any point? Well, before I ask you that question, when you were doing your research, what are some of the challenges that you had to overcome? Because the show is about featuring you and your business, but it's
Mhm.
also about showing others that maybe if they have something that they are good at, something that they want to create or something that they want to build, then the possibility is there for them as well. So as you were doing your research, you had the challenge with the balloons, the difficulties, and I cannot even begin to imagine showing up and all your balloons popping. But you were going through all of this, so you had to make a decision, right, to step away from the local market and find something else. What were some of the challenges that you had to overcome in the process of finding better material to work with?
Well, one, I must say that we have some local suppliers now that do import the quality
Good
balloons that are
quality.
suitable.
Okay.
The thing is, our climate is it is so
Hot.
hot in Jamaica that
Yeah.
sometimes the best of the best quality is still going to burst
Still in
because
progress. Yeah.
our climate is just totally different.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
in watching the YouTube videos really did help. Like some of these channels that I was watching, they told you what went wrong. They would sit and tell you, and it is for you to analyze what possibly could go wrong and make
Mhm.
decisions as to how you would mitigate or avoid those challenges.
Mhm.
And in preparing, in researching for this journey, um, I did a lot of experimenting. Unfortunately, my husband isn't here to tell you the amount of times, or my neighbors to tell you the amount of times he saw balloons set up in my yard, thinking that it's a party, and it wasn't, right? But I needed to test, I needed to experiment. It is long hours of watching videos. It
Mhm.
is writing down your strategy as to how you're gonna market because as a small business person, you are everything. Your
Yeah.
accountant, your social media, you are PR, your secretary, you are everything. So it is to
Absolutely.
sit down and to work out how you're gonna be everything. And at the
Mhm.
end of the day, some of us are doing this on the side, some may be doing it full time, some of us have 9 to 5 jobs, some of us have families, but it is for us to really and truly take the time to figure out how we're going to manage every area. Accounting is a must. I mean, I haven't gotten it right, but it is important that you record everything. It is important, even if you don't make a profit.
Yeah.
It is important that you record everything. You're not making a profit only because you may have marked down your price. You're not making a profit because you want to grow and keep reinvesting. So that's also an option. Um, it's making tough decisions in terms of what image you want to portray. How is your pictures? Because that's all clients are going to see at the end of the day, your
Yeah,
pictures.
true.
How your pictures are going to tell your story. And just knowing the image that you want to portray and stepping out of your box, out of your comfort zone to say, I'm going to do this. I have to do it and I must do this to the best of my ability. I'm a Will Marion. Your PR, you are social media, you are accountant, you are front desk, you are back end, you are everything. And it's just figuring out how you're gonna do all that. Still be creative and still love what you do.
You know, I love, love, love what you just said about your PR, your accountant, plus having a full time job and having a family. We all know how that goes. And the best part about that is the fact that you are another Jamaican woman because I've had several people from all over the world on this show, from America to England to Canada, everywhere. I've had people from all over the world on this show. And the fact that you're a Jamaican woman with a family and a job is really important because a lot of people are stuck doing things that whether they don't enjoy it or it's not doing enough for them and their family, and they are unable to see beyond that and see that maybe they could create something for themselves and still be happy. And I can tell that you're happy because you love what you do. So it's about finding that thing that you enjoy doing and just doing it with all of your everything and let the rest of the stuff just happen as they should. So I really love that you said that. It shows a lot of dedication, and trust me, it takes a lot of dedication to have a job, raise a family, and still do a business on the side and make time to catch up with a friend every now and again. it's
That hard.
exactly, it's
That hard.
definitely
And
not
having
easy, but
wonderful friends like my sister tribe that understands when I'm not available for weeks. But it's having that tribe too.
yes, and you definitely want to stay away from the people who are going to belittle you because you don't have time to focus on them or what they want to do. That's
Hey,
also important.
that's one of the things about having a business. It really does show you who is in your corner, who is going to promote you, who is going to
Mhm.
volunteer to come and work with you on a job just because they want to see you succeed, because they see your passion and your drive and they just want to see
Yeah,
you succeed.
yeah. I
Yeah,
think that's a gift in itself. Not many people have that, but if you do have it, if you're watching that and you have people like that, show them love because that's a treasure. So, at any point during this journey, did you ever feel like giving up?
definitely on that day with the three jobs. And then there are others. I mean, it's been a journey, and there have been times. There have been times when a client calls you and wants a specific color, and yes, they have to pay upfront. You have to pay a deposit, but then sometimes you want to take your vision a little further, and you make certain sacrifices. So when it is that a client will pay you $10 and you want to position, it's all about your image and your brand, and you want to position yourself in a particular way. They may end up getting a $35 job and they really only pay 10, but you know what you want to put out. And if you want to put out the best, because you cannot do something only because it costs $10. It's your image, it's your brand.
Mm-hmm.
So it's either you're gonna readjust your pricing or you're gonna make that sacrifice to say, this is the path I want to go down. This is how I want it to look. And I'm going to put in that work. I have to invest in me. I have to invest in me. And in order to invest in me, it takes losing. I've had clients that only pay me a deposit and I've had to run them down for the balance.
Mm-hmm.
I've had a client that I still don't get the balance from her yet, right? And her party was how many moons ago? And there are times when those things will happen. It is you putting yourself on the line, and you just have to deal with the consequences and the success that comes. And it's very difficult. I won't hide and talk. It is the most difficult thing to think that you're going to invest in you, invest in your business, invest in this opportunity, and you may never see the return. It may take you months to see the return. I've bought, I I made a decision that I saw one of my really good friends posted on her birthday what she wanted on her status, on her WhatsApp status. And another industry player posted on her birthday, she wanted plyboards. And I was thinking, wait, why not? Why not ask for persons to invest in you? I've been showing up, I've been doing the work. Why not ask? Why not ask? I mean, we have housewarmings. Why not? So I've taken every opportunity. I'm grateful for all my friends. Look, if I must list them out, I'll probably get in trouble, but I'm grateful for all my friends, all my family members that have invested, invested in me, whether it was their time, whether it was money, whether it was asking if I was okay, sending me, send, reminding me to take my vitamins, right? Yes, Monique. Yes, Monique. I remember to take them, but it is just having that group of persons, no matter how small it is. My group is not big, never has been. I have the same set of girlfriends from first form of high school, the same set, and that's my circle. I've expanded. I have I have a friend that we call Willoya, and she's a tremendous help. I've had co-workers that have come into my life that has turned friends and family by extension, and they have helped to produce the person I am today.
That's amazing. Not everybody can say that, so kudos to you. Um, in setting up your business, right? You experimented first and so on. In the setting up process, what were some of the, and this is Jamaica, right? I hear every day how business is difficult in Jamaica. So I want to hear from a fellow Jamaican who has started a business. What are some of the challenges that you yourself have or has, correct, faced? What are some of the challenges that you faced in the process of setting up your business?
All right, so um, one of the biggest things, because as I said, I I started a business before. When I did that before, I was at home and I realized that it was way harder to conduct certain business in Jamaica. And in order for you to get a car loan, in order for you to get a mortgage. It was a lot harder for a self-employed person. So I decided to take the route of going to work. So I work full time. I do this on the weekend. I work full time. And in starting that process, because I was working, I was able to save and set aside. And one day I'll get to the point where I have that retirement fund, but it is making certain sacrifices that you know are in the right path. As long as you have a sound plan, you know what you're working towards, and you're willing to take risk. I didn't register this business until almost a year into it because I wanted to know if this was it for me. So while I was creative, while I was doing it, I wanted to know that I was willing to go the long haul. And so I waited a year to put all my plans together. They're still not written. Creative people and book work don't really go together sometimes, right? I'm not gonna hide that, right? So it was taking a year to strategize and to plan and to see how much was I going to save, because once I registered, I knew where I wanted to go. And I knew capital. I couldn't borrow the capital. I didn't want to borrow the capital. So I chose to go to work and work for that capital. And it has been rough, but to those out there that are probably struggling, being an entrepreneur does not mean that you have to start out self-employed. It is knowing your journey and making the best decision as to how you're going to the next step of your journey. So I chose to work, save, and invest in my business. And I registered my business last year, November. So I'm coming up to 1 year of being registered. And since then, I've had a lot of persons pray for me when it comes to this. And I guess I've learned from the past, learned from the mistake when I did the exotic fruits, the fruit arrangement company. I learned from those experiences. And it is always taking your failures and learning from them and making the best decision for your next step. And so I made a decision as to how I was going to go. I did a lot of research, even to the point where opening a bank account. Thankfully, when I made the decision to open a bank account, they started having simplified business bank accounts, right? So it wasn't as tedious to get a bank account, in my estimation, based on what I was going to do. It may not work for everyone, but based on what I was going to do, I found that process easy. I went to First Global and started a business account with First Global. The process wasn't as hard as I thought it would be, or that I heard it would be. And so I went and I opened the business account and figured out which platform I was going to use for my invoices and everything, because I wanted it to be digital. So in addition, probably one more thing. I mean, you're always learning, you're always growing, right? I am also a certified digital marketing professional, and trust me, that program, I did that locally, I create, and that program also has helped. I'm always learning, and it's just figuring out which step works, doing your research. As I said, I started my account with First Global. That's where I have my account, and it has been working for me. That process was simple. It is going to the next step now that You probably need a business credit card, right? I've had the unfortunate and most unfortunate experience of using my personal bank account to do business shopping during Christmas time and had somebody wipe out my account,
Wow.
right? Wipe out my account. Now, this is all my cash for my business. Yes, it's a personal business account, which is why I took the decision to open a business account. It's a personal account that I'm using, and I was wiped out clean. I cried. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. I just finished making things, making orders that I had, and 2 o'clock in the morning when I'm supposed to be going to my bed to get up to go to the work, I look on my phone and see a bunch of emails that I made purchases on Shein, and I know I didn't need. And it was just, it was difficult. Those things will happen to you. Those things will happen to you, and you have to make a decision right then and there. How are you going to move forward? As I said, I am grateful for my circle. I am grateful for my circle. My husband, my lawyer, my girlfriends, I am grateful for my circle. They keep me sane, they keep me grounded, they keep pushing me. And throughout this process, it has been difficult because to just even being wiped out. Oh, by the way, being wiped out, going to the bank, reporting the wipeout, going to the bank, they reverse the charges, change your card. And then somebody at the bank decided that the person's really needed the item and took back the money again.
I'm
Yeah?
sorry?
Yes.
Really?
Right? All in 1 month. Right?
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And that was rough because now this is per people's deposit money that they've paid you for jobs. You have to go and secure items for these jobs.
You
And
want the cash.
persons will be reasonable, but I mean, come on now. If I call you and tell you I cannot give you your items because they took my money,
Yeah.
I'm still responsible. And those things do affect. Those things do affect, and it is hard, but you know what you want. You
Yeah.
establish systems that work, and you push forward.
Beautiful. So, told us about a number of challenges that you've had. So there must be some motivation behind you doing this that keeps you going. Because some people would have given up. I've heard people say they gave up after hitting stumbling blocks like some of the ones you've hit. For example, getting wiped out. So I can imagine that that was a cause for you to give up as well. So, what is the motivation? What keeps you going?
What keeps me motivated? My kids. My kids keep me motivated. My daughter, she, when you know what kind of legacy you want to leave, when you know what type of person you want to show her, what role model you want to be, it drives you to want to do better. It drives you to push harder. When you want to be the best example to your kids, and what better way to be that example than to show them the failures and show them the successes. Nothing comes easy in life and you have to work for it. And my son, my son is autistic, and being on the spectrum in Jamaica is the most difficult thing that anyone can go through. And when you are forced, you're basically forced, right, into doing some things. You have to, in order for your kids to grow, in order for him to progress, you have to take them to therapy. Therapy sessions are not cheap, Right? The first time I tried to take my child to therapy, I called a therapist. And she told me it was $10,000 per session. And if you were doing 4 sessions for the month, don't bother start the child. Now, while I understand what the lady was trying to say, because the more sessions you do, is the more results you will see. Telling a civil servant to pay $40,000 every month is not easy, and I'm not rich. I don't have a trust fund. None of those things, right? So that is what drives me. My business takes care of my kids' needs, right? Our 9 to 5 takes care of our, I'd call those the wants, because when your kid needs therapy, that's a need, not a want. When your child needs to transition to high school, that's a need, not a want. And because of those needs, I'm not going to rob a bank. I'm not going to scam. I'm not going to do anything illegal. This is a legal way to make extra cash. And so I've chosen to blow balloons to make extra cash.
So I was saying, and you blow them beautifully, because your work is really, really amazing. I love it. When I do have a party, you're going to be my decorator. So you're welcome. So there are some questions that I ask all my guests, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the first one I want to ask you is, what impact do you want to make on the world? What mark do you want to leave when you are no longer here? How will people remember you outside of your kids saying, oh, my mom, or something like that? How do you want to be remembered?
How do I want to be remembered? That person that didn't give up. That person that, if you go on my Instagram page and look at when I started to where I am now, can see the growth. To know that I'm determined whatever I set my mind out to do is what I intend to do, no matter how delayed it is. I'm going to do it. Like, why not? Why not? Why not set goals for yourself and work your butt off to get there? Why not write down a list of things you're going to accomplish for 2022 and watch yourself cross those things off the list? I believe in planning, I believe in vision, I believe in those things. Speak the best things over your life and work towards them. Work towards them. And that's how I've lived. I've one of the things that I remember a coworker saying to me. One thing I always remember Sashana for. Sashana says, when you get a little extra money, don't take it and go buy food that you're going to pull out. Have something to show for it. And that is what I want. I want my life to have something to show when I leave. The impact I made on friends and family and co-workers and persons I just come in contact with. I want that to be what I'm remembered by. That I never gave up. I fought to the end and just didn't give up. I don't know what that is. What's giving up? I really don't know what's giving up. What I know is, all right, I have a setback.
I really love it. I love it. I love it. You represent everything that this show is about. So thank you for agreeing to be here. You've been amazing. How do you maintain the mindset that is required to do what you do? Being a mom, owning a business, and having a full-time job. I know that that's not no easy task. So how do you maintain the mindset that is required? to make all of this work? Plus a son with autism.
Um, I've been fortunate to have persons come into my life, those who may not stay. I
Mm-hmm.
look for every lesson, every opportunity. I look for it. Right? You're gonna leave my life, but I'm gonna figure out what contribution you've made. I have a
Mm-hmm.
friend that told me that you should approach life as if you're a customer service representative. Always put on a smile, no matter what, and give up and just put your best foot forward. And no matter what is happening, I probably look like a lunatic to some people. It is going from cursing somebody out to sitting in front of you and smile and say, how can I be of assistance to you today?
Yeah.
And putting that forward. You don't need to see my pain, but I must always dress up and show up. Not physically putting on clothes to dress up, but if you know what you want out of life, dress up in your mind for that. Alright? That happened. But I need to show up for me. I need to put out the best for me. And that's it. I'm the customer service rep of my life. So
I love it.
I just have to be the best me and present the best me always. Yeah.
Love it, love it, love it. Absolutely amazing, amazing. And so the final thing I want to ask you, my final question is it my final question though? um, if you could say, well, it's not a question, is it? I don't know. If you could leave something with those who are going to see this video at whatever point, because it goes on YouTube after sometime after this. If you could say something to the persons who are going to watch this video, what would that something be?
Life is hard. Nothing good ever comes easy. Put your best foot forward no matter what you're doing. It is good to start, but always start on the right foot. So if it means delaying your start to ensure that you've covered your bases, you do that. But once you show up good. Come good. Right? Take your time and build. It's not going anywhere. It's going to come. Take your time to build. Know what you're about. Stand for what you believe in and work hard for it. That's it.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Service work for your life.
Yeah. Alrighty. Okay, so Sashana, I want to tell you that I started this show. Oh my goodness, November is going to be in a few days. I started this show November of last year, right? I can't believe I'm almost 1 year in, right? I started this show November of last year, and
almost 1 year.
Yes, I know. And the show was all about bringing hope to people, not just, but people. I started out wanting to hear people tell their stories, because there are so many stories out there, people who have gone through trauma and have been able to bring themselves back, you know, and that's how the show started. And I still do that, but I also wanted to feature people who are using their hands to change lives, because that's what you do, right? When you show up with your decoration, people are happy, people feel joy. Even if it's for that moment, for that day, they are happy. And I wanted to feature people who do that. And I'm going to say that you were a stellar example this evening, and I'm so grateful that you said yes to showing up. And I'm happy that I knew you long time ago, and now to see where you have been and where you are now, it's I really want to say congratulations. Thank you for sticking to it, and thank you for being a shining example to others, so that I could feature you on my show as an example of what the possibilities are. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining us this evening. Thank you for your support. If you're not following me, I know a lot of you are followers of Sashana. So if you're not following me, I'm here every week. I'm either telling a story like this. If you don't see me, it's because something crazy is happening, right? But I'm either telling a story like this, or I'm sharing somebody else's story of how they overcame a challenge, or it's someone who has expertise in a particular area that can help somebody else develop, grow, expand, and become more than they currently are. So if you're not following me and you like to hear stories like that, go ahead and give me a follow, and I'll be here next week with someone else. If you aren't following Sashana, clearly even if it's to make your eyes sparkle in the morning when you go on your feed, it's well worth it, right? It's well worth it. So Sashana, thank you for joining us. This has been Conversations with Sharika, where spirits go to find their souls. Thank you guys so much for joining us, and we will see you next week. Goodbye.
Bye.